Since 1937, El Pomar Foundation has proudly carried out the vision of its founders, Spencer and Julie Penrose, in support of the arts and humanities, education, health and human services, and civic and community initiatives. As one of the largest and oldest private foundations in the state, with a mission established by the Penroses to enhance, encourage, and promote the current and future well-being of the people of Colorado, the foundation has carried out the tradition of general-purpose grant-making statewide for more than 80 years. Over the past several decades, El Pomar has increased its impact through a variety of dedicated initiatives, such as the Regional Partnerships Program, the Fellowship Experience, and the Emerging Leadership Development Program, to meet the unique needs of each corner of Colorado and bring enhanced value to the state's nonprofit community. The Foundation's heritage properties, including Penrose House Conference Center, Penrose Heritage Museum, and Will Rogers Shrine of the Sun, also bring great value to our nonprofit community, visitors to the area, and all of our region's residents. El Pomar Foundation is proud to honor the legacy of Spencer and Julie Penrose through meaningful grant-making initiatives, community programs, and nonprofit support on behalf of the people of Colorado.
Hi, I'm Dirk Draper. I'm the President and CEO of the Colorado Springs Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Corporation. Thank you for joining us today for our annual State of the Region. Whether you're watching us at home, in your home office, or at a kitchen table, or at work, socially distanced, we're welcome and glad that you're here with us today. This year's theme is Answering the Call, a fireside chat with Commissioner Waller and me as we talk about advances in the region over the past year. I am staying on brand by being here at the beautiful Garden of the Gods Resort and Club. What a beautiful backdrop, and just a testament to our ability to be outdoors and continue to do business through the winter. Our presenting sponsor is El Paso County. Our gold sponsors are the El Pomar Foundation and UC Health, and our silver sponsors are AT&T and Jacobs. Despite 2020 bringing lots of surprises our way, and not all positive, I'm happy to say that we do have several examples of how we have worked together, answered the call as a region to make sure that our businesses, our community continues to advance. There's several examples I'd like to share with you. We put the region in Regional Recovery Council. In April, when the scope of the pandemic became clear, we reached out to El Paso County Public Health to work together to ensure that economic health and public health was considered in variances and policies that were put in place to help protect our citizens and our community. The council is co-led by Susan Whelan and me. Susan is the Executive Director of El Paso County Public Health. And the council includes other members from businesses and civic organizations across the community. Our goal in launching the Regional Recovery Council was to ensure that our economy was considered along with public health in those decisions that are made, to ensure that our businesses can open as quickly and as safely as possible. There's a lot of work yet to do, but I do want to point out that the Pikes Peak region has been recognized as a smart community in our practices by those who grade communities on how they recover from crises. I'd say a special thanks to Susan and her team at Public Health for the close working relationship we've had and the support, strong support that they've showed for the business community. Another way in which we have answered the call is that Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado Springs were named as a finalist to host the permanent headquarters of U.S. Space Command. 3 weeks ago, the Air Force made that announcement, along with 5 other cities across the country that are being considered for the permanent location. The Chamber and EDC has led the Winning U.S. Space Command campaign for the past year with strong support from the city and county and others in the community. We've been on pins and needles waiting for the final directions about a community visit and some additional support, additional information that we can provide the Air Force as they prepare to make their decision. We haven't worked on a project this impactful or this elusive since the Amazon projects that were announced earlier this year. This is a big deal for the community, and we take it very seriously. We'll continue to pursue until that announcement is made in early January, and we'll share that news with the community as soon as we possibly can. A third way in which we're answering the call is on 2 important infrastructure projects in our region. As much as we all want to get away right now, we're all being diligent and holding back on travel. That said, We're still very excited with the announcement last month that Southwest Airlines will begin serving the Colorado Springs Airport next spring. We have a positive outlook on air travel resuming next year, and starting March 11th of 2021, Southwest Airlines will be added to our group of air service providers at the Colorado Springs Airport. I've already purchased my tickets for a flight on that first day. I'll be flying to Phoenix, conditions allowing, and I hope that you'll join me in showing support from the community for Southwest Airlines. In a second infrastructure project, we're collaborating with community partners at El Paso County, City of Colorado Springs, the City of Fountain, and Colorado Springs Utilities on a very large logistics infrastructure project. As this comes to fruition, our region will benefit from access points to major markets and help our business communities have access to their providers and their vendors. So even though 2020 has been full of surprises, many of which weren't positive, we have much to be grateful for. There's no doubt that 2020 will be long remembered. The pandemic continues to affect our lives in many ways, and leaders at El Paso County and others across our region have answered the call. There's a number of ways each of us as individuals can answer the call as well. Washing our hands, maintaining social distance, wearing face masks, and businesses encouraging telecommuting to the maximum extent you can, and supporting our local business community by shopping in El Paso County businesses. Those are all things that will help us recover as a community faster. We know that refraining from gatherings is maybe the hardest thing to do, especially during the holidays. But we're a creative, innovative, and resilient community, and now's the time to pull out those attributes. The decisions we each make will lift the restrictions faster or move us back to normal more quickly. We encourage you to join us in taking those steps. In closing, I'd like to say thank you to our sponsors. Again, our presenting sponsor is El Paso County. Our gold sponsors are UC Health and the El Palmar Foundation. Our silver sponsors are Jacobs and AT&T. Thank you for making today's State of the Region event possible. And now, I'd like to share a special presentation by El Paso County, followed by keynote remarks from Board of County Commissioners Chair Mark Waller.
Answering the call means protecting our region's most vulnerable. For years, we've protected at-risk children, our military veterans, and the elderly. But this year, El Paso County used our CARES Act funding to help those in a unique crisis. And without hesitating, we gave $41 million to help local governments, $13.8 million to help local small businesses, and $2 million to help groups like the Enterprise Zone, nonprofits, and chambers of commerce. But these aren't just dollars. This money impacted people's lives and livelihoods, and these are some of their stories.
So Armadillo Ranch opened on the 4th of July in 2019, proudly under the gun, trying to catch the high season in that year. It was already a precipitous spot that we were in when the COVID knocked us down hard, heading into what we were hoping would be our first true full season.
Since we are in food service and a lot of our places are indoor, COVID really affected our business. And just like a lot of places, we're just trying to do the best that we can.
And as we then fast forward through the March and April and May, and as things started hitting this area, we started seeing that in many respects it wasn't as bad, thank goodness, as our worst sort of scenarios. But at the same time, it definitely was having impacts, and particularly when we started seeing shutdowns of businesses and we started being asked to stay home and seeing the kind of the psychological impact on our whole community. But up until that point, there was a lot of uncertainty. How are we going to be paying for a lot of these new costs that we had? How are we going to pay even overtime for public safety responders? What about businesses in the community and what they were, how are we going to be able to help them? It's not like we had the resources necessarily.
It's been just an up and down roller coaster experience, this whole thing. It's a little bit of good news, a bunch of bad news, a teeny bit of good news, and it is just those little things, those little nuggets of good news that just keep us going. The grant is going to allow us to keep on moving and shaking and serving the customers, serving the community, even though we're not making the same profits that we were at this time last year.
So it allowed us to bring those people back, get people trained, and give people a living again. that lost that in April.
We were very fortunate once things started happening that the support staff that we had at the county to help us out, to help us sort of navigate through what do these CARES Act dollars look like and how do we use them and how do we account for them, et cetera. Those folks were phenomenal. They were great to work with. I just can't say enough good things about the county folks that helped us through that. And and because of that, and because of some of the changes in the CARES Act rules, we were able to use all those funds to the betterment of our community and the betterment of our businesses.
When you're facing catastrophe, finding the time, even though you might not be operating a business, but finding, just trying to do, when you're in damage control mode, you find yourself as a business owner without a whole lot of time to pursue sometimes very complex and difficult to navigate bureaucratic processes to get those funds. So to have the county's help and SBDC and pointing us in the right directions and taking phone calls as well was just irreplaceable.
I am just so thankful that this experience, this process has gone so well, that we were recipients, and I'm just hopeful that other small businesses can find the resources that they need to stay alive during this time, because small business is such an important part of our county, of our community, and I just think that what the county is doing, what the EDC is doing to keep us alive is amazing.
We've always felt like the county has been just a great partner for us anyway, but seeing that sort of care on both the behalf of the Board of County Commissioners and the county administration was phenomenal from our end.
The county and all the resources they provided us really answered the call when it came to assisting with our needs when we were hit with the COVID crisis. The bottom line is we wouldn't be here if it weren't for the assistance we received. I mean, there's no way to say it otherwise.
Ultimately, the county really stepped up and they answered the call for us. They answered the call and they supported our community, and and they gained. They already had a huge amount of loyalty and support from us, but just that little step for us was just amazing.
I really feel that they're answering the call. And there's a lot of places that don't understand the urgency of the situation for small businesses. And when the county does something like this, it shows that they understand.
Thank you all for listening in today. I really wish we could be together in person to shake hands and to hug and to celebrate our human connection. I can't wait for those days to return, and I know you can't either. But until then, it's important for us to come together in the ways that we can, to talk about rising to the challenge, celebrating our success, and also sharing a vision for a brighter future. Last year, my challenge to you was to think big, and I promised you that if you did that, El Paso County would be right there with you. And we kept our promise, but in ways that none of us could have imagined. In 2020, I'm proud to say El Paso County answered the call. We answered the call by manning and supporting the front lines in the COVID response. We answered the call by never losing sight of our day-to-day responsibilities despite this global pandemic. And we answered the call by providing innovative leadership, anchoring the community during the worst of the storm. We can agree, this has been a very difficult year. Whether you've experienced COVID firsthand, cared for a loved one who was sick, or faced hardship in your small business, we've all experienced uncertainty, anxiety, and fear in our own ways. What was your darkest day? For me, it was the day we lost one of our own. Sheriff's Deputy Jeff Hopkins lost his life after contracting COVID while in the line of duty. He passed away on April 1st, 2020, only weeks into the pandemic. We owe a huge thank you to Deputy Hopkins and his family for making the ultimate sacrifice, and also to Sheriff Bill Elder and everyone at the Sheriff's Office for putting their lives on the line every day. And for me, the loss of Deputy Hopkins brought home the cold reality of what we were facing and foreshadowed many dark days to come. And in spite of those dark days, this community came together. Hundreds of people donated time and scarce materials to sew thousands of masks for area doctors, nurses, first responders, and essential employees. Our friends at the Pikes Peak United Way organized the efforts to man the Regional Office of Emergency Management phone bank to provide information to frightened citizens. People rallied to support essential workers, restaurant owners, and other small businesses as they leaned in, dug deep, even into their own personal savings accounts to stay open. And this created just a little bit of security for us during these incredibly insecure times. And as you rallied, we were right there with you, just like we promised. From the very beginning, our 2,850 employees in El Paso County knew shutting down wasn't an option. In fact, we had to rise to the challenge. More people than ever needed food, jobs, and a safe place to live. The Department of Human Services, under the leadership of Julie Crow, never missed a beat. She fundamentally changed the way DHS operates, moving more services online, while at the same time continuing the important work keeping our most vulnerable population safe. And leading the Pikes Peak Workforce Center, Tracy Marquez and her team acted fast. She safely and successfully opened her doors and phone lines to thousands of job seekers, businesses at risk, and the recently unemployed who desperately needed the help. Jeff Eckhart and his team with County IT anticipated the brewing storm. And because of his foresight, we were ready. We had the cell phones, laptops, and other devices necessary to keep county services running smoothly. I'm sure we all have a newfound respect and appreciation for our facility managers and employees. Brian Olson in the county is no exception. He and his team have worked tirelessly to keep our offices, meeting rooms, and public space clean and safe. Already 7 county buildings, including the jail, have been equipped with new air exchange technology, which kills 99.4% of airborne pathogens, including COVID. The Office of Emergency Management, led by Jim Reed, galvanized the regional COVID response, securing PPE for county and city responders, unifying commands, and even standing up an isolation and quarantine shelter for people experiencing homelessness. I couldn't be more proud of this partnership. I also want to recognize Colorado Springs Deputy Chief of Staff Brett Waters and the entire city communications team for their professionalism and dedication. Your work with Kenny Hodges, Michelle Hewitt, and Ryan Parcell sets the standard for others to follow. But when it comes to keeping people safe, no one has done it better than Susan Whelan, Deanne Ryberg, Dr. Robin Johnson, Dr. Leon Kelly, and everyone at Public Health. Susan and her team of highly trained professionals have worked day and night for over 9 months to coordinate our COVID response. Susan, to say your job is difficult is the understatement of the year. You've answered the call. You've led the community to mitigate the spread of the disease. You've balanced the needs of working families to put food on the table. And you've worked hard to keep kids in school. But most important, you've protected the physical and mental health of the community. Dr. Kelly and Dr. Johnson, thank you for your perseverance and patience. You've been charged with educating 720,000 people about the finer points of a novel disease. Whether it's speaking at media events or making cartoons informing people, you've certainly answered the call. And to the entire team of professionals at Public Health, we all thank you. You have no doubt saved lives, and we're forever indebted to you for your tireless work. And while COVID has dominated our efforts, I'm proud to say we never lost sight of our day job. In spite of coronavirus, our Department of Public Works answered the call as well, paving and repairing miles of road and furthering major improvement projects to make people's lives better. Projects such as the McLaughlin and Old Meridian Road interchange in Falcon, paving in Hanover, and mitigating water contamination and security. Many of you watching may not drive in Falcon or drink the water in security, but for those of you who do, this is the kind of stuff we do every day that matters. We're also working diligently to solve the affordable housing dilemma. Now more than ever, a stable home is essential to our thriving community. The home is no longer just a place to live. It's the school, the office, it's the restaurant, and it's even the marketplace. And as our county assessor will tell you, home prices have been skyrocketing for years, making the median priced home less affordable for many working families. Our economic development team, led by Crystal Latier, is answering this call. The Self-Sustaining Housing Trust Fund provided $1.9 million in direct assistance to projects like Freedom Springs, Shook's Run, and the Atrium at Austin Bluffs. Private activity bonds executed by her office injected another $82 million into the affordable housing economy, jump-starting developments like the Barnes Apartments, the Creek at Cottonwood, and the Winfield Apartments. These projects will ensure our military veterans and working-class families can call El Paso County home for many years to come. And as important as the home has become, our outdoor spaces are necessary more now than ever. They provide welcome refuge from the isolation and restrictions. Simply put, they are essential to our physical and mental well-being. El Paso County parks are an absolute treasure to the region as well. Thousands throughout the county have discovered or rediscovered hidden gems, such as the Paint Mines, Bear Creek Regional Park, and Fox Run Regional Park. This year, under the leadership of Tim Wolken, we added an impressive addition to our parks portfolio with the Pineries Open Space in Black Forest. The Pineries have over 8 miles of trails spanning over 1,000 acres. It has a diverse combination of forest, rolling hills, and grasslands. And in these times, we need space and nature to think, to reflect, and to hope. And finally, as our day-to-day work goes, I'm incredibly thankful we have Chuck Browerman as our county clerk and recorder. Chuck and his team ran a fair, transparent, and credible election. And because of their efforts, we can have faith in our local mail ballot system. And that's something we should all celebrate. But whether it's COVID response, affordable housing, or running fair elections, we recognize we cannot do this alone. Leadership means developing a vision and building coalitions to accomplish a common goal. Leadership also means being unselfish, and that means helping others accomplish their goals as well. And in 2020, we've had more leadership opportunities than we could have imagined. In July, our region, along with representatives of the United States Army, the Air Force, the State Department of Transportation, and U.S. Senator Cory Gardner, officially kicked off the Military Access Mobility and Safety Improvement Project. This is a coordinated project with El Paso County Public Works and CDOT to improve roads and safety around Schriever Air Force Base, Peterson Air Force Base, Cheyenne Mountain Air Station, and Fort Carson. This is huge for our community because it protects the life and safety of our servicemen and women. And it also literally and figuratively paves the way, making El Paso County the permanent home of U.S. Space Command, a victory we're all looking forward to celebrating in the future. But MAMSIP isn't the only project that's going to save lives. 3 years ago, many politicians said nothing could be done about the I-25 gap. They said it would be a minimum of 10 years before the project even broke ground, and that we were just going to have to live with the delays, disruptions, and even deaths. For us, this was completely unacceptable. But we in El Paso County took the lead. We knew we had to turn an idea into reality, and that's a daunting task. So we marshaled political support, secured an essential federal grant, negotiated with CDOT, and developed local funding. Now here's the new reality. The I-25 gap project is well on its way to completion. And I gotta tell you, in my 4 years as commissioner, I've learned there is nothing El Paso County likes more than being told something can't be done and then doing it anyway. We're also leading the conversation about responsible regional growth. El Paso County is expected to reach 1 million residents by 2050, and we've got to be ready. That's why discussions about comprehensive land use planning and annexation policy are so important. Our regional master plan will be ready for rollout in 2021. And that'll mean positive changes for everything from land use, infrastructure, digital networks, transportation, and growth in areas near our cities. In El Paso County, we love doing bold things, and that's not going to change in the future. We will continue to lead by example, building on our already innovative government. And in 2019, El Paso County was faced with a facilities master plan that called for an additional $75 million in buildings and repairs to provide government services to our expanding population. With so many other pressing needs, the reality is we knew that money wasn't going to be there. That's why, even before COVID started, we were laying the foundation for the workforce of the future, actively piloting a telework program, investing in IT infrastructure, examining service delivery, and reimagining our workspaces. And now, I'm proud to say, because of these innovations, we will meet the needs of the citizens and our workforce for years to come. And we'll do that with $6 million investment instead of the $75 million previously forecast. And like so many of you, we had great plans for 2020. But sometimes you don't pick your leadership opportunity, the call to leadership picks you. And in late April, President Trump signed the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, or the CARES Act, and it was designed to provide fast economic assistance to individuals, families, and small businesses. With $125 million on the line, Nikki Simmons and the great folks at our finance department got it done. They got it done without any fanfare or expectation of acknowledgement. Acquiring CARES Act funding for our community saved local governments, supported small businesses, and protected working families in need. If you haven't had a chance to thank Nikki and her team for making the CARES funding a reality for this community, you need to do it. So without a doubt, local governments needed it. They're on the front lines of this crisis. It's they who answer 911 calls, deploy first responders, and protect our most vulnerable. That's why within days, we notified every municipality in the county of our commitment to share tens of millions of dollars to support their efforts. In addition, we knew all too well businesses and people were hurting. That's why we allocated $16 million directly to small businesses and citizens in need, $1 million to businesses in the enterprise zone, $1.2 to local business nonprofits like Chambers of Commerce, and $1 million to the Pikes Peak United Way to support citizens with real needs, including food, utilities, and rent assistance. But perhaps our most impactful decision was this: the El Paso County Regional Business Relief Fund, which injected $13 million into the local economy. Through this county program alone, 864 local small businesses and nonprofits received an average of $16,000, money they didn't have to pay back. A recent economic impact report indicates that this funding alone could save jobs and protect $1.1 billion in economic output. Think about that impact. But I gotta tell you, if you'd asked me in the beginning of 2020 if I thought it would be hard to give away millions of dollars, I would have said no. But as it turns out, if you do it the right way, it's harder than I thought. Thank you to my colleagues for doing the right thing. Oftentimes, ignoring the political noise and distractions is a difficult thing to do. But together we did it, and our community is better for it. Now I want to end on a personal note. I'm grateful for the opportunity to have served, and I want to say thank you. Thank you to the citizens for the last 4 years. I'm honored you put your faith and trust in me to lead an organization working with others to do big things for our community. You know, my granddad used to say, when you borrow someone's truck, you leave it in better shape than when you got it. The same should apply to elected officials. We don't own these offices. At best, we just borrow them for a little while. And anybody who knows me knows I've tried to keep my granddad's words in mind throughout my years in service. I've worked hard to deliver, and hopefully El Paso County and our entire region is just a little bit better than when I got here. But I also want to say thank you to all of the elected officials and other community leaders for the partnerships and collaborations along the way. None of us can do this alone. The only way to do big things is to do it together, never caring who gets credit. And in our community, I am so pleased our elected officials are in this together, working to accomplish great things. We may not always agree on the policy, but without a doubt, I know this: each and every one shares the same ultimate vision, making this community an even greater place to live. But most of all, I want to say thank you to our 2,850 employees who answer the call every day. Again, as elected officials, we only borrow our jobs for a little while. It's the employees who dedicate their life's work to making this community better who truly deserve the credit. And as many of our great senior staff members have moved on over the past 4 years, my colleagues and I set about replacing them with leaders who are going to be here for years into the future. Perhaps this is our greatest legacy. I couldn't have imagined going through this pandemic without the steady hand of our administrator, Amy Folsom, or the political sense and tremendous communication skill of our PIO, Ryan Parcell, or the countless other leaders, experts, all experts in their own right, moving our community forward. One of my colleagues recently said, government employees are lucky to have a job during this pandemic. And while that might be technically true, I prefer to view it another way. During this pandemic, we and the entire community are lucky to have you on the job, tirelessly providing the same great service in spite of the tremendous challenges. So soon I'll be leaving office, and I promise you that comes with a tremendous amount of emotion. None is more present, though, than the pride and confidence I have in El Paso County to deliver moving forward. 2020 has been one of the roughest years anybody can imagine. But I know this: we're going to get through it, and better days are going to come. And they'll come because of the outstanding leaders and individuals dedicated to our county. God bless you, and thank you.